a painful process, but one that was very necessary for me to be here today.
You know, I'm filled with questions, but this is one I will ask, and it's not many of us get the existential moment that you did. You had a character that could help you become you. We are forced to do that on our own, and sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't. Do you then consider yourself more fortunate because you were able to have this character that's outside of yourself to help guide you to who you are today?
You know, I don't know if I consider it lucky or not. Because what the process that you speak of, where most adults deal with, is what it should be. I think that's a skill that I kind of lacked in. So I don't know if I feel really blessed or lucky. Blessed, because I don't have the tools to do. I was lacking the tools what it took me to be able to grow up and become a man and an adult and to be self-sufficient and to be responsible. I kind of lacked those skills to do it in everyday life. So thank God I had this break, and this kind of crutch, this thing, this entity to kind of use as a sounding board, because I didn't have the ability to do it in real life, which what most adults do. And so I don't know if it's something that I'm necessarily proud of or like feeling a little more, I got a break. And it's bigger than just being on television. It's bigger than, having a career that I love. I got a break because I was given an opportunity to become honest, to become myself, to become a man, to grow up.
That's how amazing to get to do that through acting a fictional character, to be able to become yourself, a new self, a more grown self, as you say. That's so paradoxical and beautiful.
And it speaks to what part of what all the pieces matter is about, and it's speaking to young people. And a lot of the young people that we've come across this year and in our own work don't have the tools to get to a place that they should be. I guess the question is, sans Omar, what would have helped you get to a safer place for you as an African-American man in the United States?
This may sound a bit morbid, but I don't know if I'd be here. I lack a lot of things that a black man or a person of color needs to survive or to feel self-sufficient. I'm not really, I don't have a lot of education as far as academically speaking. I dropped out. I'm a high school dropout. And I equate a lot of success with education. I was raised in a family where education is the key. College, being a college graduate, having a career, something that you study. Those are things that was taught in my household that I kind of alienated myself from. Do I regret it? Yes and no, because that just happened to be my path to where I am today. But if I didn't have this, if I didn't have the blessing of craft and arts to express myself and to be able to grow in, I don't know if I'd be here today, because I was just constantly hurting myself. There's a lot of self-hatred, and so I don't know if I'd be here.
So what's the experience now of the fact that for so many people, Omar is who you are still for them? I mean, I think Chalky White is starting to take over, and maybe we'll come to that. But, to constantly be called back into that when you've done all this work on yourself and all the grieving for that character, do you understand that to be a kind of continuing service to the public that Omar is someone they're continuing to think about in a certain way?
You know, when you talk about Omar, I always want, you know, today I'm able to distinguish myself. I have a self-knowledge, a self-worth, a knowledge of self today. So, you know, I'm good today. Mm-hmm. But I never want people to forget Omar, mm-hmm. or to misinterpret what he was or who he could have been. This was a man that was that the system failed. Mm-hmm. You know, Omar had a lot of potential. We could have, you know, had he been exposed to the right opportunities, we could have been looking at President Little. You know, this was not the normal guy. You know, I don't want to forget him, but at the same time, we don't need any more Omar Littles. You know, as a community, as a society, you know, which is why I chose to do dialogues like this, because that's really what it's about for me today. How to prevent any more Omar Littles, those tragic stories. You know, there's a lot of potential getting wasted out here in our communities, in our underserviced communities. How do we remedy that? Omar was a product of his environment, you know, and he didn't have the tools to pull himself out, so he kind of just accepted what it was. But you know, he could have been had he been exposed to the right things, he would have been the best at anything he put his mind to. I believe he had that type of demeanor. You know, that's why I'm here today, to speak about how to prevent any more Omar Littles from happening in the negative sense.
Absolutely. In that vein, a tough question. Can Omar Little, or the Omar Littles of this world, be brought back, given that we've pushed them to the edges? And if so, could you mediate on how? I mean, I understand that's a tough question because it's so multifaceted. But give us a sense of, how do you bring someone back from the edge of humanity?
You know, I'm a person that has seen the bottom. You know, I've seen the bottom of what, excuse me, of what self-hatred can take you. I've gotten just about as low as you can go, and you know, I'm here today. So I'm a firm believer, and it ain't over until the fat lady sings. Firm believer in that. As long as you got breath in your body, and you know you're walking, there's always a chance. That's just my philosophy. You know, am I a religious fanatic? No. Do I believe in prayer and higher power? Yes. You know, there's some things you got to just take to God. You know, and my cousin. I have a cousin. He's been in the penal systems for 20 plus years, and he just came home. He hasn't been home for a month. And if this man walked in this room right now, you would not have any idea that he had spent 20 some odd years of his life in prison. He has not been home a month yet. He educated himself in prison. You know, he read books. You know, we were in church, and the Reverend was using a writer. I can't remember her name, but he said, "Does anybody know this writer's name?" My cousin says, "Oh yeah, she wrote the Harry Potter stories." She wrote the Harry Potter stories, and I can't remember her name, much less knew that she wrote the Harry Potter stories. So I said, he was like, "Yeah, because I had a lot of time to read." You know, so it's like you know, I still go back to education. You know, what will bring somebody back from the edge of humanity? Not having someone to believe in them. You know, you need someone to believe in you, not to give up hope. You know, it may sound cliche, it may sound hokey pokey, but you know, the fact that my mother never gave up on me, you know, that my sons never gave up on me. Come on, Dad. You know, they would help me clean up my mess. You know, the fact that, you know, someone was constantly praying for me, you know, and then I had to just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know, when I got my back got to the wall, you know, we make choices. You're either going to swim or you sink. And I believe that anybody whose back is against the wall, or they're like at the edge where they just don't want to go on anymore, you're faced with a choice. It's what you want to do with this. You know, sometimes having nothing is the greatest place to be in, because there's no place to go but up. Is all how you look at it. And I've seen people that were in much worse situations than I have. And once again, I reference my cousin. This man came out of a 20-year stench, and is just well-spoken, knowledgeable, has ambition. He's grateful. He's not bitter, you know. And I just like, I don't know how you were able to sustain that, you know, in your having dealt with your circumstances. That would have crushed me. So I hope I answered the best of that.